everyone, and welcome to day 27 of my horror movie review marathon, and I've got The Haunting of Sharon Tate movie review. Actress Sharon Tate has premonitions that coincide with the notorious Manson family. So as far as the story goes, Daniel Farrands directs this movie that is supposedly inspired by true events. So when we see that Sharon Tate is pregnant with director Roman Polanski's baby, obviously there is a lot more at stake here than just a potential death scene. Now, the fact that Sharon Tate was actually killed by Charles Manson and his cult was already a tragic event in the 60s, but what they depict in this movie is her with, I guess, these visions or nightmares of terrifying events that are to come, especially with these murders. Now, I know I lately haven't done a bad love review in months, but this one definitely takes the cake for worst movie that I have seen in quite some time. And I personally thought it was in poor taste to even come up with a movie like this, especially after the events that really were happening made this movie come off as this thing for pure entertainment value. And I just thought, really, that is so ridiculous. Like, I cannot believe that they would even think of putting a real life tragedy as something that's supposed to be for enjoyment. And I did not enjoy myself watching this movie, and I already knew from watching the trailer that I was not going to like this, but I figured, well, it's been a while, so I might as well see it and see what all the fuss was about. And literally, it was a mess. And they were trying to make certain things about this movie look really authentic by combining real life footage. Yes, it is true. They actually had real life footage in this movie combined with, you know, the other overly dramatized acted bits that depicted what happened to Sharon Tate, and especially with these Manson murders. But then they turn it into this supernatural, falsified depiction of what happened. And using these elements, I was like, okay, really? Now they're just making it worse, and now they're making me mad. And quite frankly, it was an insult to Sharon Tate's memory and everyone else that was affected by the Manson murders, especially when they're trying to come up with something that, oh, let's say it'll be refreshing and new. And yes, we probably are aware that it's part fiction but part real, but mostly people want to see this movie for the realistic factor, and now they're adding these things to make this movie just like act like it's trying to be scarier and make a mockery of what the real horrors of these murders were like. Now, as far as the casting goes, basically I only wanted to see this movie for Hilary Duff because she does play Sharon Tate, and it was laughable from the start. To see her portrayal as something that I could not take seriously, and at times I was not a fan of the way she acted or delivered her lines, and just the way that she came off on screen. And I bet she's, you know, a decent actress in other movies. I mean, I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire on Disney Channel, so I'm thinking, you know, let's give her a chance here. But nope, it did not work for her. I feel like she could have done a whole lot better than this role, and no one else in this movie really mattered or even impressed me, even if I saw you, Aaron Samuels. So the things that I liked about this movie was absolutely nothing. I can't honestly come up with anything good to say about this movie, and I'll just end it there with the things that I didn't really like about this movie. Was that the concept of this movie really left a bad taste in my mouth. I really felt kind of disgusted watching this, and even though I had heard about these Manson murders beforehand and what happened to Sharon Tate, I felt like it was dizzying to see how they edited this movie together in such a way that they go back and forth from seeing the future of events to come to going back to the present, where Sharon Tate is having these nightmares and she's freaking out and everybody's waking up every night wondering what the heck is going on with her, and she's getting paranoid and all that crap. And unless you know what really happened that day, nothing is truly left as a surprise. But what was shocking was the third act, and I was getting kind of more mad by it. And that's a far cry from how I felt with the third act of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, if you've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know how that movie ended, but then you go and watch this, it's almost like you're getting two different sides to a still completely different way of how they're depicting the Manson murders. So I was just totally unimpressed by the end of it. So overall, I would say that this movie definitely left me disappointed, yet I was not expecting anything good to come out of this movie, not even decent, not even remotely close. So I would not recommend seeing this movie, honestly. I think it's the worst movie that I've seen so far this year, and I don't know where it's going to go on my list of worst films of 2019, but this is definitely going to be on it. So I would give this 0 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of The Haunting of Sharon Tate, and come back tomorrow for day 28 of my horror movie review marathon. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got movie reviews, movie updates coming every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys later.